I want to welcome everyone to the introduction or the installation of the NFDA Board of Directors. This is the second year we've done this format, and Pat Lynch hosted last year, and Ken Cahall made me promise not to sing because they chase you all away. And as far as I know, my brother hasn't published any poems yet, so I don't have any of his writings to read. So, well, let's get started. And I would like to start by introducing and bringing in our board of directors. I'll start with the at-large representatives, John Wenning and Barbara Wenning. Pasquale Espolino. Douglas R. Dutch Nye and Donna Nye. John O. Jack Mitchell. And now for the next year's secretary, Randall P. Anderson and Kim Anderson. Treasurer R. Bryant Hightower and Kathy Hightower. President-elect Charles T. Bowman and Connie Bowman. Immediate past president W. Ashley Cozine and Carolyn Cozine. And finally, the president, starting in a few minutes, Kenneth A. Cahall and Jennifer Cahall. As I mentioned, we're here this afternoon for the installation of the officers of the National Funeral Directors Association. We will be installing for the 124th time a new president of this association along with his board of directors. Each person we're going to install this evening is in a different state of leadership. Some are just beginning, just starting that journey, and be their first time on the board of directors. And some are entering the top positions of leadership on the board. What's common to all of these individuals is they're going to be guiding and navigating NFDA into the future. And that future is by no means certain, and there could be many changes that could affect funeral service during their term of office. Just last week, I was in Silicon Valley visiting some of the companies and people that are inventing and working on technology that will change our future. More than one of the speakers we had during that few days we were out there discussed disruptive technology. Now, that's a technology that changes a business, profession, industry. A good example of that is combination of digital photography and smartphones. If you look at Kodak and Fujifilms, and it totally destroyed and reinvented that whole business. So you don't know what's going to come out in the future for our industry. Could it be something? We have innovative technology awards all the time. Is that going to be something that's really going to be disruptive? One of the stops we made was at Stanford University. There was a professor there that taught a class in coming up with new ideas and implementing new technology change. And Stanford's right in the heart of Palo Alto, right in the middle of Silicon Valley. As we walked across the campus, right in the middle of the sidewalk, there was this saying, and it was a quote that was embedded right on the ground, had footprints along with the inscription, and it was from Philip Knight. He's the co-founder of Nike, and he's a graduate of Stanford University. I want to read you his quote. He said, "There comes a time in every life where the past recedes and the future opens. It's that moment when you turn to face the unknown. Some will turn back to what they already know. Some will walk straight ahead into uncertainty. I can't tell you which one is right, but I can tell you which one is more fun." And we're in a profession that, since the beginning of mankind, they practiced funeral service, whether it was very simple or very elaborate, as in the case of the Egyptians. And in the Catholic Church, we had the Judeo-Christian service today. Our profession is considered an act of mercy or a profession of mercy, as we care for the dead and bring dignity to life. So it's a very important and very traditional profession. What's the future going to hold? This is what these individuals we're going to install in a few minutes are going to have to navigate those roads of the future. And we don't have a roadmap. Will that technology come to disrupt our profession? We've already seen, as we serve different generations, the millennials and everyone there, each generation has their own idea maybe what a funeral should be. And you individuals that we're going to be installing in a few minutes, and leaders of NFDA, along with your committeemen, staff, I hope when that moment comes that Phil Knight talked about faces you, you make the right decision. And perhaps have some fun with it too. Before we start any endeavor, it is always right and just to invoke the blessing from God. So I'd like to call Reverend Brad Riley up to do just that.
What a privilege it is to be here to lead us into God's presence in prayer. Will you bow your heads and pray with me? Almighty God, our Father, we thank you for your presence among us in this convention. What a privilege it is to lead others in such a noble cause as funeral service. We thank you also, Father, for these leaders gathered here for this installation. You have guided and blessed this association with great leadership through the years. And today we especially thank you for those who have served this past year. We rejoice at the news of how the association membership has grown. A growing membership is a sign of your blessing, and we thank you. And today, Father, we ask a special blessing on those who are assuming their new office. We ask for your wisdom to walk beside them, guiding them through the many decisions that will be made. We trust all to your guidance. We ask for the strength to follow through, carrying the many plans and visions of the NFDA to fruition, believing for your blessing for another great year as these leaders seek to improve their service and this association, their service to their peers, and to the many in the communities that they will serve. We offer all of these petitions along with our thanks and praise through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Riley. It's always been a tradition that the installing officer is a past president. And I'd like to recognize some of the past presidents here in this room. Would all the NFDA past presidents please stand and stay standing, please? These individuals, every one of them I know personally, every one of them have given their time and treasure for this association. And I believe Pat Lynch calculated up some numbers last year and said it represents over 100 years of service to NFDA, not including the time they already spent with state associations. So I do appreciate all that the past president, many of them have mentored me, and we all appreciate what you've done. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call up one of the most recent past presidents, a good friend of mine, and somebody that is going to take over an important job I had this last year. He'll be the new chair of the Funeral Service Foundation, Bob Ayrton. Excuse me. Bob, come on up here. I'm taking away a little bit from Ashley Cozine. I need Ashley up here too. We need two people up here.
Hold him down?
Yeah, you can hold him down.
Well, we are at a point where it's my privilege to send my good friend Bob Ayrton on a better journey here.
I didn't realize it was that tough.
Bob and I have been on the board from the very beginning. I mean, we have gone through so much, and Bob, you've been just a huge inspiration to me and our friendship, and I just thank you very much for your sacrifice and just time to the board and to our association. And I've been privileged to be able to follow in your shoes, and you have taught me a lot, brother, and I love you very much. Team event, brother. But one of the things that it's another tradition of NFDA is to present the outgoing president with a resolution. And so I'm going to read this resolution, Bob, and we're going to see what it says. Sometimes these are kind of scary. It says, yeah, most of the time. Resolution for Robert T. Ayrton, CCO. Whereas Robert T. Bob Ayrton, CCO, is a first-generation funeral director and owner of Ayrton Funeral Directors in Jackson, Tennessee. And whereas Bob became interested in funeral service at the young age of 7 when his grandfather died, he subsequently spent time at his neighbor's funeral home in Milan, Tennessee. Is that Milan or did they say Milan? Milo. I know, that's why I'm asking. Helping out after school and on weekends. And whereas Bob's family moved to Jackson, Tennessee in 1970, where he began working at George A. Smith & Sons Funeral Home during high school. He graduated from John A. Gupton College in Nashville, Tennessee in 1979. And whereas Bob has never been one to sit on the sidelines, that is true, he founded Ayrton Funeral Directors, started Corporate Funeral Providers, the only payroll deduction funeral funding product on the market, added the first crematory in Jackson, and purchased and later sold 2 cemeteries and a second funeral home location. And whereas Bob is a true people person who is passionate about offering the families of his community truly caring and personalized service with attention to detail and using technology to create healing and memorable experiences. And whereas Bob is committed to the funeral profession on both a state and national level, he was appointed by Governor Don Sundquist to serve on the Tennessee State Board of Funeral. This is long. Funeral Directors and Embalmers, serving as president in 2005, holding every office of the Tennessee Funeral Directors Association's Board of Directors, including a term as president in 2008, and served as Tennessee's State Honor Fund leader for the Funeral Service Foundation. And whereas on a national level, Bob served as Tennessee's representative to the NFDA Policy Board, has served on a number of NFDA committees, and on the NFDA Board of Directors, formerly the Executive Board, as the 2015-2016 president, becoming the first Tennessean to hold this office. He was among the first group of individuals in the country to be recognized as an NFDA Certified Crematory Operator, or CCO, and he currently serves as this is old now, as the chair-elect. I need to change this. He's actually now the chair of the Funeral Service Foundation's Board of Trustees. And whereas Bob will be long remembered for representing NFDA and funeral service on a nationally televised CNBC documentary entitled Death, It's a Living, hosted by Tyler Matheson. And whereas Bob developed a great friendship with Mr. Wink Martindale during his association with the Miss America organization. You devil, you. Well, we'll talk about that after the reception.
You sure don't put them in print.
And whereas with a wink and a nod and a whole lot of luck, Bob married way out of his league. when Judy Leather said yes during their intimate Las Vegas wedding. My mom is right there. I'm embarrassed. And whereas Bob will always be remembered for his warm smile, wisdom, sense of humor, morning Starbucks run, and southern charm, and he doesn't travel far from home without his faithful buddy Jack Daniels. Be it therefore resolved.
Woo! Amen. I've been waiting on that.
That the name of Robert T. Arrington, CCO, will be forever enrolled among those esteemed and honored leaders of the National Funeral Directors Association. That the profession of funeral service may give recognition and thanks for his wisdom. No, I agree. No, I'm kidding. Abilities and contributions. Approved by the Board of Directors on this 27th day of October 2017. And it's signed by the board, so they must believe all this is true. So, Bob, my friend and brother, I want to present this resolution to you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Ashley. I appreciate that. Those are really moments that bring a lot of joy. I know I got a lot of joy because I had the privilege of being involved in writing a couple of those. So they do bring some joy, but the real joy of this venture we do is in the journey. Randy Anderson, I didn't steal your Director Magazine article, I promise. But you and I both had that same thought a couple of months ago, probably. But the journey that allowed Judy and I to come across and meet and have relationships with the board of directors and spouses and some of their children that really we've learned to love even more than some of our own family, actually. She can testify to that. And the journey that we were around when Christine's kids were trying to decide what college to go to, Christy's pregnancy and her becoming a mom, and Connie's horses and Julie B's cats, and going across the country, meeting members, and having to have relationships with these state leaders that you've had relationships and friendships with, and working with state executive directors. And some of that wasn't so joyous, but I can say that now. But the majority of all that was really a pleasure, and state execs, we thank you for what you do. Thank you for the board members that I had the privilege of sitting around the table with, of being involved in discussions and decisions that I think have really been good for where NFDA is today. Thank you, Christine, for kind of pulling me off when I go off the center line sometimes and kind of get to thinking where I don't need to be thinking out there. Thank you to the staff, because let me tell you, y'all are NFDA every day, and we thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you to the Tennessee Funeral Directors and Bob Batson, our exec, for his encouragement and their support and everything that we've done. But and I've had a few of those joy moments. Cambridge, Maryland, I was elected at-large representative. Charlotte, I was elected secretary. Nashville, Tennessee, I was elected president-elect. Installed in Indianapolis, and just this week in Boston, named chair of the Funeral Service Foundation. So it really has been a great, great journey. But the real joy, the deep down joy that you take with you forever is in that journey. And I just, from a southern boy from West Tennessee that's loved funeral service since he was 7. Thank you for letting me take that journey. Thanks for listening.
I think that was the first time I saw you blush, Bob, up here. There's the installation. I'll get all the names out here. All right. I'm going to call some names that we're going to do an installation on. We'll get started with that. We're going to save Ken K. Hall for last. So I'd like you folks to line up, starting here with right to my left and then on down. The first person I'd like right beside me is Charles T. Bowman, CMSP, CFSP, CCO, Brenham Funeral Homes, Liberal, Kansas. All right? Have you right here. President-elect. The next person is Treasurer Bryant Hightower Jr., CFSP, Hightower Family Funeral Homes, Brenham, Carrollton, and Douglasville, Georgia. And our new secretary, Randall P. Anderson, CFSP, CCO, Radney's Funeral Home and Langley Funeral Home, Alexander City and Camp Hill, Alabama. Next, our immediate past president, W. Ashley Cozine. These are a bunch of letters. MBA, CFSP, CPC, CCO, Broadway Mortuary, Wichita, Kansas. And now the individuals that are in the early stages of leadership. John O. Jack Mitchell, CFSP, CCSP, Mitchell Widefield Funeral Home, is that right? It's Weedfield Funeral Home, Baltimore, Maryland. Pasquale S. Folino, CFSP, CCSP, Thomas Nyland and Sons Funeral Home, New London, Connecticut. And just elected at the policy board right here in Boston, John Wenning Funeral Homes, Sheboygan Falls, and Oostburg, Wisconsin. Got one I skipped. He's sitting down there waiting. He said, are they going to call me up or what? We'll put you right in the head of John there. Douglas R. Dutch Nye, CFSP, CCO, Nye Family Funeral Homes and Cremation Service, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Go blue. We got a Ohio boy ahead of you, though, to watch out. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to have you say your name, and you can save the "I will" till the very end. So would you please raise your right hand and say your name? As the chosen leaders of the National Funeral Directors Association, will you faithfully serve and fulfill the duties of your individual offices and uphold the bylaws of this association to the best of your abilities? Will you engage in respectful debate to finalize resolution to govern fairly and improve this association for the betterment of its member? If you agree to accept this responsibility, say, "I will."
I will.
I declare you installed as the 2017-2018 Board of Directors of the National Funeral Directors Association. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, somewhere I got some more remarks here. Oh, here they are. May I have Kenneth A. Cahall, CFSP, CCO, Cahall Funeral Homes, Georgetown, Ripley, and Mount Orb, Ohio, along with his wife Jennifer. Please come up. I don't have a mic like Bob has, so I'll just stand right here beside me and use the microphone. Well, with Ken being from Ohio, I've known him a long time. I know Pat Lynch said a lot of nice words to say about Ashley Cozine last year. I've got a lot of nice words here too, but I might go off script a little bit.
I have been concerned about that.
Some of the things we've done with the Cahalls is we've done, our state has these, because of the weather in Ohio, we do these winter educational trips. We go to some warm weather places. And one of the places we've been a number of trips, but one that stands out very memorable to me is Cabo San Lucas. And we went deep sea fishing.
Yes, we did.
And we had 4 people on the boat. All 4 of us caught a striped marlin.
Yes, we did.
But when I asked my daughter what to say about you, she said to remind you that she caught a bigger fish than she did. She caught a bigger fish than Ken.
Yes, she did.
It was, and we found out it was her first time fishing, and she's catching a fish bigger than she is. And I can remember what Ken said to her. You remember?
No. I think you're going to tell me.
He says, "You're really going to be disappointed in the second fish you catch." Ken was a few years behind me going through Ohio's chairs, so I believe you were active probably on the board of directors when I was president, or committees, and when he was going through, of course, I sat in the board meetings as well, and I watched your leadership skills grow back in Ohio. And, every time you get in charge of something, I just see that leadership skill just growing and growing. When I was president of NFDA, or going in, we appointed Ken to chair the House of Governance back in the House of Delegates days. And so I think that might have been the first time you got up in front of a big crowd on the stage, and you did a fabulous job bringing forth the issues, getting the votes done on the different issues that came before the House. And you could tell right then he was presidential material for NFDA. And you know, along the way, you've really conducted yourself as a leader as well. And it was a real honor for you to ask me to install you for this. And I can remember, I know I had a past Ohio president from NFDA do mine as well, and Bob Shank there. And I am thrilled to be able to do this, and I'm glad that if I had any influence raising you, inspiring you to this position, it's just an honor. And I know you've had other encouragements from other, and right here with Jennifer, she has been so supportive of Ken in every step of the way he's gone, and she's a tough lady. I mean, she beat cancer herself, and she's just a sweetheart. And you've got a rock to lean on, so Jennifer. There's also 3 other living past presidents from Ohio. We have myself, and you know, I'm there to support you this next year along with Bob with the foundation, which is the charitable arm of NFDA. And we have behind me is Dwayne Spence. Dwayne, raise your hand there, Dwayne. Dwayne, he was a mentor for me, and the advantage having Dwayne in Ohio, and not too far from you. Dwayne knows everything. Okay. And if you have any questions, just ask Dwayne.
He's told me that.
And the third living past president is Bob Shank, and Bob Shank is here. Where's Bob? Raise your hand. Right there's Bob. And the advantage of having Bob is he's quite a fisherman and could give you some fishing lessons the next time you catch a bigger fish. In fact, I'm about to install you here in just a minute as the 11th president from Ohio of NFDA. That's, we have more than that. We have one Ohio president here who did not go on to be a national president, but probably has a very, very big reason that you are here, maybe more than any of the others. You know who that would be?
I'm afraid I mentioned the wrong name.
Okay, you might. But that individual is Mr. Walt Lindsay. Walt, you want to stand up? You haven't stood up. We don't know who you are. And do you remember why, Walt? It's so important?
Yes, I do. Yes, I
We were at advocacy, and Ken was choking on food, and Walt gave him a Heimlich and saved his life.
Thank you, Walt.
Okay. So during your time here coming up as president, and you're faced with that tough decision on which path to take, like I mentioned, I think with the help of your board of directors, NFDA staff, and Christine, and the rest of your support team you've got, I have a feeling you're going to make the right decision.
We're no trial.
Maybe have some fun, but I think you'll make the right decision. So let's get you installed as number 124. 124th president. Now, some of the NFDA has been in existence much longer than that, but a lot of years, there were 2 or 3 years that different presidents maintained their seat. In recent history, it's only been for 1 year, so but I counted them up. That's what it is. All right, raise your right hand. Ken, will you faithfully serve and fulfill your duties as president of the National Funeral Directors Association, uphold its bylaws, and lead this association to the best of your abilities? Chair your board meetings, encourage debate, and bring the board to finalized resolution to govern fairly and improve this association for the betterment of its members. If you agree to accept this responsibility, say I will.
I will.
I declare you installed as the 2017-2018 President of the National Funeral Directors Association.
Thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Bill, I think I did catch the bigger fish, though. I want to thank you. Thank you very much. It's surely an honor, and I'm deeply humbled to become the president of the National Funeral Directors Association. I'd like to thank you, Bill Wapner, for being the installation officer. You've been a good friend, mentor, and you've always been there to encourage me. I thank you. I'd like to congratulate my fellow board members. And I know we'll stand united in the coming year to do the best job possible to promote the National Funeral Directors Association as the leading funeral service association to inform, educate, and advocate for funeral service and to represent our membership. Also, I'd like to thank the past presidents for your support and encouragement. And all of you here today that believe in the importance of what we do as funeral professionals. Never in my wildest dreams did I think as a young beginning funeral director, someday I would be in this position. Today I reflect on my long career and I see that I have made a difference in people's lives and how I've helped many families in need of mending their broken hearts. And that is what we all do. We help to mend the broken hearts of those that are in despair. Mark Twain, a great American novelist, was quoted as saying, "The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." I found out why when I became a funeral director. We are the professionals that are entrusted with the family's most important possession, their loved one. When you really think about that statement, there can't be too many people on the face of this earth that are given that much responsibility. What an amazing honor. And we should always keep that responsibility as our highest priority. I have found that what NFDA can and does provide for our members is that it is an extension of our own staff to help us to become better funeral directors, more knowledgeable, better business people, and more successful than ever before. Please rely on NFDA to help you and to help your profession. Today is a day that my family and I will never forget. I'm very fortunate to be where I am, standing today with all of my colleagues in this room. I'll also never forget this day because today is my late father's birthday. Today he would have been 98 years old. And I know that if he and my late mother would have been able to be here today, they wouldn't have been able to keep the buttons on his shirt from popping, because they both would have been so proud. They still are my greatest mentors, and I know they are with all of us today. Lest I forget, I'd better introduce my family that I am so proud of. My wife, Jennifer, as Bill stated, she's solid as a rock. She is my rock. My son, Clayton, who's in the business with us back home. His girlfriend, Rachel. My daughter, Rebecca. Her boyfriend, Matt. Two of my three granddaughters are here today. And all three of them, I spoil them terribly too. Morgan and her husband, Tyler, who serves in the U.S. Coast Guard. And my granddaughter, Lexi. So I think several of you have met Lexi over the years. And my work family. We all have those families too. The managers of two of our locations, Joe and his wife, Doreen, and Stephanie and her husband, Andy. And also all of my OFDA contingent that came today. Thank you all for your support. Now, let's have a good time this evening. Let's have an even better year for the National Funeral Directors Association. Now, I'd like to close with one more quote from Mark Twain. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. This new board will be getting started as soon as possible, and I hope that we will be worthy of your confidence and also the responsibility that you have given us. Thank you, and may God bless the National Funeral Directors Association.